was held not in a sterile, modern office, but in a small, rustic tea shop, its air thick with the aroma of strong, black tea and the quiet hum of conversation. The architect's blueprints, though, were as precise as any found in a high-rise boardroom. The boss, a man of quiet authority, his gaze sharp and unwavering, leaned forward. So, this is the design. A traditional wooden house, but with modern comforts. We'll need a reliable team and the best quality timber. The construction manager, a man whose face was a roadmap of years spent in the sun, nodded, his eyes tracing the intricate lines of the blueprint. Understood, boss. A team of skilled carpenters, and we'll source the best wood from the local forests. We're also facing a lot of competition from new companies, and the recent floods have set us back. Our business is a bit difficult. A lot of new construction companies are competing. They're getting a lot of jobs. The boss listened intently, a flicker of concern in his eyes. He understood the challenges, the relentless nature of the market, the unpredictable fury of nature. We need to adapt, he stated, his voice firm. New policies, better advertising, and we need to use our advantage as a local company. Focus on the smaller rural projects. They're our strength. The conversation was a tapestry of business, a world of numbers and logistics. But in the back of the boss's mind, a different, more personal narrative was unfolding. A story that involved a quiet, resilient woman, a new home, and the lingering shadows of a past he was beginning to uncover. Miles away, in a sun-drenched cucumber field, Diep toiled under the hot sun, her hands moving with a practiced ease, picking the ripe vegetables. Her life was one of simple, honest labor, a world away from the complexities of corporate strategy. She was a woman of the earth, her strength and resilience forged by a life of hardship. Her peaceful solitude was shattered by a voice she hadn't heard in years, a voice that sent a cold shiver down her spine. Diep? She turned, her heart lurching. Standing before her was Pao, her ex-husband. The years had not been kind to him. The face she remembered, once full of youthful promise, was now haggard, a roadmap of a life spent in a perpetual state of escape. Pao, she whispered, the name a ghost on her lips. They sat on the edge of the field, the silence between them thick with unspoken history. He spoke of his life, a journey of self-destruction and redemption. I've quit drinking, he began, his voice hoarse. I'm not living with my parents anymore. I found out. I'm adopted. I'm not really part of that family. His words were a desperate plea for understanding, a raw confession of a life unraveled. Diep listened, a mixture of pity and a lingering, bitter resentment swirling within her. She spoke of her own life, a life of quiet dignity she had built for herself, a life that included another man. I'm doing well, Pao, and I have someone new in my life, Anvin. The news, though expected, hit him hard. A shadow of pain crossed his face. He looked at her, his eyes filled with a profound regret. Diep, I'm so sorry. For everything. For the way I treated you, for the pain I caused. They made their way to the market, a shared journey of two people whose paths had once been intertwined, now separated by a chasm of time and unspoken pain. As they walked, a motorcycle pulled up beside them. It was James. Get on, he said, his voice a calm command. He saw the two of them together, a flicker of something, a premonition, a seed of doubt, taking root in his mind. He offered them a ride to the market, a polite gesture that masked a deeper, more unsettling curiosity. At the market, James and Pao sat together, a silent battle of wills unfolding between them. James, a man of power and authority, saw in Pao a ghost of Diep's past, a threat to the future he was meticulously building for her. Pao, a man of quiet desperation, saw in James a formidable rival, a man who had everything he had lost. So Pao, James began, his voice deceptively casual. What's your life like now? What are your plans? He was probing, seeking to understand the man who had once been Diep's husband. the man who was now a lingering shadow on her newfound happiness. Pao spoke of his dreams, his desire for a new life, a new beginning. He spoke of his desire to build a farm, a dream that resonated with Diep's own life. James listened, his mind already formulating a plan. "You should find a new woman, Pao. Start a new family," he advised, a subtle warning in his words. "And if you want to start a farm, I can help. With a loan, with advice. I can give you a job." He was offering an olive branch, but it was also a way to keep Pao away from Diep, to sever the lingering ties of the past. But James, a man who dealt in facts, needed to know the truth. He looked at Pao, his gaze direct and unwavering. "I saw you with Diep. What are your intentions towards her?" The question hung in the air, a blunt and uncompromising demand for honesty. Pao, caught off guard, stammered a reply. "It was just a coincidence. I ran into her on the way to the market. I was just helping her." His explanation was plausible, but the doubt had already been sown in James's mind. Later, as James drove Diep home, her cucumbers now sold, he spoke of Pao, of the strange encounter, of his unsettling feeling. "I have a bad feeling about this, Diep," he confessed, his voice low and serious. "He's her ex-husband. I feel like something is wrong." The image of them together, walking side by side, was a persistent, gnawing image in his mind. They talked of James's new project, the wooden house he was building for her, a tangible manifestation of his love and his commitment to their future. As he worked to fix her phone, a small, mundane act of domesticity, the conversation was interrupted by the arrival of another man, a man named Duke. "En Vin?" Duke asked, his face etched with a profound worry. "We've lost contact with En Lai. He was working undercover at the border. The team, we can't reach him." James, his face a mask of calm, listened intently. He knew the risks, the dangers of undercover work. "En Lai is an experienced officer, a good one," he reassured Duke, his voice firm. "He's probably moved back to a nearby area. He's not at the border anymore. Don't worry so much, you might expose him." He was a man of logic, of strategy, but a new seed of doubt had been planted in his mind. A mystery, a new puzzle to solve, a new danger to confront. After Duke left, James spoke to Diep about En Lai, the mysterious policeman who had vanished. "En Lai, the man he was talking about, he's a police officer. I don't know why, but I have a strange feeling about him." Diep listened, a flicker of something, a hint of unease in her eyes. The name, En Lai, was unfamiliar to her. But the mystery, the danger, had now become a part of her life, a dark thread woven into the tapestry of her quiet, peaceful existence. The air was heavy with unspoken questions as James's car pulled away from Diep's farm. The image of Pao, her ex-husband, a ghost from a past James had no part in, lingered in his mind like a persistent shadow. The conversation with Duke, the worried colleague of En Lai, the vanished police officer, had only added to his unease. A web of mysteries, of lingering threats and unspoken dangers, seemed to be slowly tightening its grip around Diep's simple, peaceful life. James drove, his mind a whirlwind of speculation. He had seen the way Pao looked at Diep, a mixture of longing and regret that was undeniable. He had heard Pao's story, a tale of a broken man seeking a fresh start, and his heart, though filled with a fierce protectiveness for Diep, had ached with a strange, unwilling empathy. But a seed of doubt had been planted, a fear that Pao's intentions were not as noble as he claimed. The thought of Pao as a threat, a man who could disrupt the fragile peace he was building for Diep, was a cold, sharp arrow in James's heart. Meanwhile, at the farm, Diep felt a profound sadness. The quiet comfort of her solitude, a solace she had once sought so desperately, now felt like a lonely, isolating prison. The brief, unexpected encounter with Pao had brought back a flood of difficult memories. The pain of a failed marriage, the harshness of a life she had long left behind. She knew Pao had changed, had struggled with his own demons, But the ghost of their past, the ghost of her shattered dreams, was still a raw, open wound. She worried about his intentions, about the subtle, unspoken tension between him and James, and a part of her, a part she hated to acknowledge, felt a flicker of guilt. Was her past, her history, a burden to James? Was their love, so beautiful and pure, too fragile to withstand the lingering shadows of a life she had tried so hard to forget? The next day, James plunged back into the relentless, unforgiving world of his business. The wooden house project for Diep was his one solace, a tangible manifestation of his love and commitment. But the professional world, with its cold logic and its ruthless demands, was relentless. The investigation into the sabotage at his timber yard was ongoing, a frustrating, slow, and arduous process. He suspected a larger conspiracy, one that linked his corporate rival D to the criminal underworld, and perhaps to the mysterious disappearance of An Lee. The pieces of the puzzle were disparate, but a pattern was slowly beginning to emerge. He met with Duke, who was now a key figure in their ad hoc investigation. Duke, a man of quiet integrity, spoke of An Lee with profound respect. An Lee is an experienced officer, a good one, he said, his voice laced with concern. He's not at the border anymore. Don't worry so much, you might expose him. But the news, though meant to reassure, only deepened the mystery. Where was An Lee? Was he alive? Was he in danger? Duke's veiled hints about a dangerous mission and the undercover nature of his work sent a cold shiver down James's spine. The line between James's world of business and the criminal underworld, once a clear, distinct line, was now blurring, becoming a dangerous, nebulous space. Diep, meanwhile, received a visit from Pao. He came to her with a contrite heart, a bouquet of wildflowers in his hands, a desperate plea for a second chance in his eyes. Diep, he began, his voice trembling with emotion. I've changed. I've quit drinking. I've left the old life behind. I want to build a new life, a good life, with you. He spoke of their past, of the happiness they once shared, of the promise of a future that had been stolen by his own recklessness. Diep listened, her heart a battlefield of conflicting emotions. A part of her, a part that remembered the youthful joy they had once shared, ached for him, for the lost innocence of their past. But another part, a part that had endured his cruelty, that had been forged in the fires of betrayal and despair, remained cold and unyielding. She looked at him, at the ghost of the man he once was, and shook her head. I'm sorry, Pao, it's too late. I've moved on. His face crumpled, the last flicker of hope in his eyes dying. He left, a broken man, leaving Diep standing alone, the wildflowers a poignant, silent testament to a love that had bloomed too late. The final confrontation between James and Pao, though not physical, was a brutal clash of wills. They met at the market, a neutral ground, a place where their two worlds, the world of the city and the world of the village, briefly intersected. You hurt her, Pao, James began, his voice low and dangerous, a predatory gleam in his eyes. You hurt her, and you almost destroyed her. But she is mine now. I love her, and I will protect her. You need to leave her alone, for good. Pao, seeing the unwavering resolve in James's eyes, the strength of a man who would stop at nothing to protect the woman he loved, finally understood. He nodded, a defeated, weary nod. I know, James. I'm leaving. I'm leaving for good. He walked away, a solitary figure disappearing into the bustling crowd, a final, poignant ghost of the past. The mystery of An Lee's disappearance, however, remained. James, with the help of Duke, continued his investigation. He pieced together the puzzle of D and Visa Company, their ruthless tactics, their connection to the illegal timber trade, and to the criminal underworld. The pieces of the puzzle were finally clicking into place, revealing a dark, terrifying conspiracy. James's love for Diep, a love that had defied social conventions, A love that had survived the constant scrutiny of his family and the challenges of her own past was now being tested by a different kind of fire. The fire of criminal conspiracy, of corporate sabotage, of a violent world that sought to tear them apart. But James, a CEO turned detective, was ready for the fight. He had found his purpose, his mission, in protecting the woman he loved, in building a sanctuary for her, a place where their love, a love so different, so real, could finally flourish in peace. The journey had been long, fraught with danger, with heartbreak, with doubt. But through it all, their love had remained an unyielding force, a beacon against the darkness, a testament to the fact that rich-poor love was not just a fantasy in novels, but a living, breathing reality forged in the fires of true devotion. The final chapter of their story was about to begin, a chapter of triumph, of redemption, and of a love that was destined to endure until the end of the world.